The house on Hollow Lane. There's a small town in Pennsylvania called Graybrook. It's the kind of town where people lock their doors early, where gossip spreads faster than the weather, and where old secrets live longer than the people who carry them. At the very edge of that town, past a crooked wooden fence and down a dirt road that most GPS systems don't even recognize, there stands a house. The locals call it the house on Hollow Lane. No one remembers who built it. No one remembers the first family that lived there, but everyone remembers the stories. Stories of screams in the night, of shadows in the windows, of people who walked inside and never came back out. But the darkest story of all is the one about the Atwood family. A husband, a wife, a daughter, and a son. One stormy night, they vanished. Their car was still in the driveway. Dinner was still warm on the table, but the family was gone. No bodies, no signs of struggle, just gone. For over a decade, the case haunted Graybrook. Parents used it as a warning for their children. Don't wander too far, or the house will take you. Teenagers dared each other to step on the porch, but none stayed long. And sometimes, late at night, the sheriff's office received phone calls. Calls traced back to the Atwoods' landline, a line that had been disconnected years earlier. That's where Detective Daniel Mercer comes in. Daniel was young, ambitious, and eager to prove himself. The Atwood disappearance was labeled a cold case, but to him, it was the perfect opportunity. He read every file, every report, every rumor, and no matter how many dead ends he hit, every path led him back to one place, the house itself. The neighbors swore they saw lights flickering inside at night. Some said they heard laughter, others swore they saw shadows moving behind the curtains. Daniel told himself it was all small-town superstition. But deep down, even he felt something was wrong. Still, he made a decision. He would spend one night in that house, alone. He would document everything, prove once and for all whether it was just a story or something more. The first night, he arrived just before sunset. The sky was painted orange and purple, the woods behind the house whispering in the wind. With a flashlight in one hand and a voice recorder in the other, Daniel pushed the heavy front door open. It groaned like it hadn't moved in years. Inside, the air felt thick. Not dusty, not stale, just heavy, like breathing in smoke you couldn't see. The wallpaper was peeling, the floorboards creaked, and the house smelled faintly of mold and rusted metal. He started in the living room. Dusty furniture sat exactly where the reports had said. Photographs of the Atwoods still hung on the wall, smiling faces, frozen in time. But in person, something about their eyes unsettled him, almost as if they were watching. He climbed the stairs, every step moaning under his weight. At the end of the hall, he found the children's room. Two small beds sat side by side. Toys littered the floor. A stuffed bear leaned against the wall, its glass eyes staring blankly. For a moment, it almost felt normal. Until he noticed the sheets. They were damp, stained, not with dust or age, but something darker, something metallic. Daniel didn't need training to recognize it. Blood. Fresh. He froze. How could it still be fresh after all these years? And then came the sound. A toy train, tucked in the corner, began to move on its own. Its wheels clicked along the track, its whistle sharp and shrill in the silence. Then came the laughter. Small, childlike, but wrong, layered, as though a dozen children laughed at once. Daniel's stomach turned cold. He backed out of the room, his flashlight trembling in his hand. The house wasn't empty. The house traps him. He tried the front door, locked. He tried a window. But behind the shattered glass was only more wall, like the house had rearranged itself. Every hallway seemed longer than before, every room darker. The whispers started softly, so faint he thought it was the wind. But then they grew louder, clearer, calling his name. Daniel! Daniel! He spun around, shining his light in every direction, but nothing was there. Hours passed, or at least it felt like hours. The house seemed to twist around him, swallowing time. His recorder picked up strange voices he didn't hear in real life. A woman crying, a man shouting, children screaming, and then silence. Daniel stepped into the dining room. The table was still set, plates covered in rotten food, silverware rusted from time. But what made his blood freeze was the family sitting at the table. The Atwoods, or what was left of them. Their faces were pale, their eyes hollow, their bodies twisted like broken dolls. Yet they sat upright, staring blankly ahead. One by one, their heads turned toward him, slowly, in unison. Their mouths opened, but no words came out. Only laughter. That same layered laughter that filled the children's room. Daniel bolted. His flashlight swung wildly as he stumbled through the house, finally crashing down into the basement. That's when he saw it. Scratched deep into the concrete floor, written over and over with fingernails, was a single word. Mercer. 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 His name. The twist. Daniel froze, his pulse hammered. Why his name? Why would the Atwoods leave that behind? And then memories he had buried long ago came flooding back. This wasn't random. This wasn't fate. This wasn't about a cursed house. It was about him. Years ago, when Daniel was a boy, he lived on Hollow Lane. He had neighbors, the Atwoods. He remembered them now. The daughter used to ride her bike past his house. The son used to share baseball cards. He knew them. He knew them well. And on the night they disappeared, Daniel had been the last one to see them alive. He remembered his father, drunk, angry, dragging him by the wrist into the Atwoods' home. He remembered the shouting, the crying, the blood. And worst of all, he remembered his father whispering to him in the dark, "We'll make them disappear, Danny. We'll make them part of the house." The truth hit like a blade. The Atwoods weren't victims of a haunting. They had been murdered, buried within these walls. And Daniel had been there. He had seen it. He had helped hide it. But as a child, his mind had locked it away, burying the horror so deep he had forgotten, or convinced himself he had. But the house remembered. The house never forgets. The Atwoods' hollow faces leaned closer. The shadows tightened around him like chains. The laughter swelled until it shook the walls. And in that final moment, Daniel heard his father's voice, whispering from inside the house, from inside the walls themselves. "Welcome home, son.